Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon, and I am the host. And joining me today, I have Ills.
Total annihilation of life. What a fine thing.
And I have Noah.
I have no witty quote this time.
Well, I got a witty quote from the box art itself. The explosive finale of Phantasy Star, the Phantasy Star series, particularly Phantasy Star IV, or Phantasy Star the End of the Millennium, or Phantasy Star IV the End of the Millennium. What do you want to call it? You can call it any one of those, I guess. Because the box art says Phantasy Star IV, and the title screen says Phantasy Star the End of the Millennium, and then most people call it Phantasy Star IV the End of the Millennium. So,
well, they combined the two when it was re-released later.
Oh, okay, on the re-releases?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's what we played. And Phantasy Star is obviously a continuing series, because this is the fourth entry in the series. You might have heard of it. It was this game in particular, and I think all of them actually, was developed by Sega and also published by Sega. It was released on the Sega Genesis in Japan on December 17th, 1993, and then didn't get released in North America or Europe until 1995. So
they hate us.
Yeah,
they hate us because they hate us.
True, it's true. So yeah, it came out a little bit a while later, just over a year for America, because it was February of 1995, so it's like a year and a couple months. But yeah, this game is an RPG, just like the other Phantasy Star games before it, and it's not like Phantasy Star Online, which is the current iteration of Phantasy Star, and probably the most popular now, which is an MMO. This is more of a classic RPG, like the first few
turn-based.
Yeah, turn-based battles. It is very much classic in the terms of RPG. So Ills, you picked this game for us to play. Why don't you tell everybody why you decided to choose this game?
Well, I like the Phantasy Star series. I haven't played that much of it, but I do like the sci-fi style of it. It's like one of the earliest sci-fi RPG genres, or RPG games. And this game has a lot, a lot of people really love this game. Like, it has a very high standing in, classic gaming, especially for the Genesis. It's like I said before, it was like considered the best RPG on the Sega Genesis.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people, I've heard that multiple times, that this is like the best RPG on Genesis. I mean, that's also kind of like saying, like, you're the best cow in a field of like 4 cows, but yeah,
I mean, it's not a crowded field, definitely, for the Genesis, but
not to like, downplay the game or anything. But
still pretty damn good RPG.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah, because I mean, Super Nintendo was where really all the RPGs were at that time. Genesis didn't have a lot. Like, if I think in my head, like, you have, like, I think Ever Oasis, right? That's, I believe, an RPG.
Wasn't Shining Force on Sega?
Shining Force, which is like turn-based, kind of like Fire Emblem Shining Force is.
Yeah, it's a great base strategy RPG.
Yeah, and so there's not a ton of RPGs on Genesis, but
and the rest of the Phantasy Star series.
Yeah, because I think 1 was on Master System, and then 2 and 3 were also on Genesis. If I remember correctly. Now, do you ever play? I know you played 1, and I know you've complained about 1 before, and about how stupid because they had this first person in the dungeons.
Well, beyond that, it was first person and there was no map, which apparently they fixed with the Sega Ages version of it, which is probably way easier to play now, because I had to create my own maps. But yeah,
I know you played that one. Did you ever play 2 and 3?
No.
Okay. So
I heard bad things about 2. Like, it was very confusing, so I didn't want to like put people through that. Like, maybe I'll go back and play it, but whatever.
Yeah.
And 3 is a separate storyline.
Yeah, I've heard mixed receptions and things about 3 as well.
Like, 4 is the sequel to 1 and 2. It's not the sequel to 3. 3 is a different story.
Right. And you mentioned that this game has like it's got like a sci-fi theme to it, which at the time most RPGs were the same kind of like fantasy setting, right? Like middle age kind of stuff. You had orcs and elves and warriors, like that kind of thing. Like when you think of RPGs a lot, that's what you think of. And like back then there wasn't really anything outside of that, I think, for video games. I don't remember when Earthbound came out, but Earthbound is a similar situation where they kind of mixed it up. But this game, does the sci-fi thing. And, now I think sci-fi RPGs there's plenty of them, right? You got Mass Effect, right? Is a huge one. So there's
a series that came out like maybe like shortly after this is the Star Ocean series, which is another sort of sci-fi RPG.
Yeah. But I think this is like one of the trendsetters for like sci-fi RPGs, and honestly, I think it's one of the things that really stood out to me and I really like about this game is its setting, and just how different it is, how different it feels from the games at the time, because you aren't used to like going to other planets and having a solar system and different alien races and stuff outside of just there was outside of the normal other races like orcs and elves and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. I like that a lot in this game.
Yeah, I mean the other races exist, and they're just like humanoids. They're people. They're on your team. Some of them, they're helpful. They're regular people. They're not like enemies or anything like that.
Yeah, true. You don't really fight like any of them really in this game because like the enemies are their own like separate thing.
They're like monsters or incarnations of the darkness of the universe or whatever.
Yeah. So in this game, you play as the main character. His name is Chaz Ashley, and he's a hunter. Now a hunter is like kind of like bounty hunters, I guess, pretty much. They take jobs and stuff. And Chaz is a rookie hunter as well, and he has a mentor, and her name is Alice. And those are the two characters you get introduced to at the beginning of the game, and they get a job early on to investigate these monsters appearing at this this academy, and they go to check that out, and that leads into obviously the bigger adventure, and along the way you collect different you get different party members, and like you said, some from different races. And that's really the setup of the story. I mean, you just play as you have Chaz and Alice as like the two leads at the beginning, but really Chaz is the main character of the story. He's the hero, and I gotta say, I actually like at first didn't really like Chaz. I thought he was kind of like a nerd, kind of a geek, kind of like I just thought he was dumb, but as the story went along, he actually has like a good character arc, and I think I really ended up liking him a lot by the end of the game. And I think
one of the things about this game is that I feel like every character in it has like their own motivations, their own like pretty well formed personality. Like they all feel like really well realized. Like Chaz, by the end of the game, like he starts to doubt himself. Like he really doesn't understand what he's fighting for, and then you really get more of a sense of like what he's about, what he really wants.
Right, I liked that. Like him, like doubting himself, and like he gets put into a leader position, and even he's like, "Should I be the leader?" He doesn't really think he should be.
He finds out what they're up against. He's like, "What the fuck? This is too much."
Yeah, I like that. It's good character growth. Which, he wasn't just the gung ho, always got to do the right thing, like kind of typical hero. I felt so. I ended up actually really liking that a lot. And so there is multiple other characters in this game, and I don't really want to talk about all of them. I think some of them might be like spoilery, but I kind of want you guys to take like out of all the party members in the game, like which one was your favorite?
I liked Grizz or Grizz. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Grizz. I say Grizz.
That's the same Grizz, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Grizz is pretty cool. I like Rika probably the best.
Mm-hmm.
Rika just turned out to be like one of the most useful characters. She was super strong. She had very good healing. She had very good skills.
Yeah, surprising that I was surprised that she turned out to be like my main healer in the party. Like she definitely had the best healing of anybody. And I really like Rika as well. Also, she's a cat girl, so that probably helps.
Yeah,
Certainly doesn't hurt.
I like Ren, the android guy. I thought he was cool. Like, I liked his. He was very strong in battle, and I liked I really thought this was cool. Like they had this mechanic in the game where you had like android characters, but those characters couldn't be healed by normal means. You had to use either a recovery kit, which is an item to heal them, or they had to use their own skill, which was like a recover skill. So that's the only way they could heal. You couldn't heal them with normal healing items or spells, which I thought that was kind of cool.
that is pretty cool.
It was neat also because when you walk around with them, they just heal like automatically on the world map.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just get.
I never noticed that. That's really good.
Yeah, so it's really useful. Like Ren and Demi when you have her. So
yeah,
pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that they each have like very unique weapons to them. Like they only use guns and they only use a specific kind of armor. Like every character has been personalized to their, they have very specific things that they can use, and I kind of like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. I like that too.
Mm.
Yeah, and I thought that no, I actually the overall story I thought was just alright. I didn't think it was like anything like groundbreaking or anything like that. I didn't really wasn't like super invested in the overall story. Like I just thought it was alright. I didn't think it was bad. It was just very much a RPG story,
Yeah, I mean it's very classic good versus evil basically. I mean there's nothing too surprising. I do like the characters. I think that's where the game shines more than the plot per se.
Yeah, I agree with that. The characters definitely are the reasons why you keep playing, because like the plot is just there's an evil, it's in its darkness, like you gotta stop the darkness, the Dark Lord, or I think that might have been what he's called, and you're like, okay, this is what it is. This is what RPG stories a lot of time are.
Well, I think what the game does to its credit is that even though the plot is not very like all that detailed or fully realized or whatever, the game moves quickly through the plot. Like it never meanders too long. It flits you around from plot point to plot point. It's very fast. It has a lot of transitions that really make it very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And you always know where to go. I will say I love that in this game.
Yeah.
You always know exactly where to go. It's usually very easy. They tell you, the next town is northeast. All right, cool. I know where to go. I like that, and it's never that hard to figure out where you're going. If you forget or you save the game and shut it off and come back later, there's like a talk option where you can just have a little conversation between the party members, and they
I love
say
that.
it.
Yeah.
The talk option is perfect. I wish that was in more games because that is such a great thing to have.
Yeah.
Not only to remind you, but also because it gives you unique dialogue in there sometimes too, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. It is a great addition, and it's not the only great addition that this game did for RPGs either, because it has a couple really cool things. But
like
the talk option really good, because there's times too, right, where you play a game, you drop it for a month or so, and then you like, I gotta get back to that, right? And you get back and you have no idea what you're doing anymore.
Or even if you go off exploring into like a different part of the world and you start doing like a side quest and you forget like exactly where to go. Mm-hmm. Instead of having to go walk to an NPC or where you last were before, you just fucking go to the menu, talk.
Yep. And they're just like, this is what we're doing. We have to go to this town. It's north from this town. Okay, cool. And then you can also, use a skill to just transport right to the town you need to go to a lot of the times too, which is great.
Yes. This is one of my favorite aspects of any game. The fact that they give you teleportation and dungeon escape items and text so early on. It's so player friendly. Like, they should have this in every RPG. This is also prominent in Dragon Quest XI, where they give you teleport very, very early on. It's such a godsend. Like, why not always have this?
Yeah, because when you're done a dungeon, you don't have to walk all the way through it. You can just teleport back to the town, or to the entrance of the dungeon or whatever. And it's so much better. It's so much better. Because a lot of times, too, you're done with the boss fight, you're almost dead. You don't want to have to walk back through the dungeon, Mm-hmm. So it's awesome.
Although a lot of RPGs, what they do is as soon as you beat like the boss of the final dungeon, they just warp you back to town.
Yeah, like Zelda does. Zelda has the warp, which is also a good thing.
Damn, are we calling Zelda games RPGs now?
Well, that's loose. It's very loose. It's more of an adventure game, but has dungeons in it. But yeah, I mean, some RPGs do that, but then there are RPGs that don't, and this game alleviates that a lot with that. I will say, you said one of the best are that you wish that most RPGs did this, right, or all RPGs. Well, speaking of something that I wish all RPGs did, this game in its battles has this thing called macro, and you get to program a set list of what you want your team to do without having to go through each character and select it. Like, you can pre-program it before the battle. And man, what an awesome thing. This is such a good idea for a turn-based game, a turn-based RPG, that I really wish that this would be implemented. Like, I don't understand why it's not implemented more in more games, It's just because there's so many like RPGs turn-based where you get into a position where all you want to do is have every member attack, right? Whether you're fighting weak enemies or you're all healed up and you don't need to do any items, and you just want to have everybody attack and just that's it. And like, this game lets you just do that with the press of a button. You don't have to do this person attack, this character, this person attack, this character. You can just hit one button and then there you go, you're done, and they do it. Which I love this system. I think it's really good. And
yeah, it is really good. I set up like a whole strategy where it's like I have one for like, well, it already comes with the one where it's like everyone just uses their normal and standard attacks on enemies. Yeah. And then you have like 7 other slots or something, a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And I set one so it's like whenever I encounter like 3 or 4 enemies on the screen, is like a lot of enemies basically. I set everyone to use their AoE spells or skills that hit like multiple enemies, so they all just hit them at the same time. Yeah, it's really good. And then I had another one that was like really their most powerful attack that are like for single targets like bosses.
Yeah, I think it's a mostly good system for the most part, but it's also kind of basic because you can't target like buff spells to do to specific characters.
Yeah, like you can't choose your targets if you have to be like.
If you just do the attack one and there's multiple enemies, it just attacks random guys.
That too. Yeah. But it's good for like opening gambits of bosses where your strategy is basically the same all the time. It's like buff and attack, or when you want to use the hidden combination skills in the game.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Very, very awesome. Like, because the macro system makes it so that the characters move in a specific order, and some of these combination skills need to have actions happen in a specific order.
Yeah.
So that's what I found it the most useful for.
Yeah. And I like those combination attacks too. Those are really cool.
It happened by accident, obviously. I didn't even know they were a thing until like in the second dungeon I realized that it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then it just randomly happened as I was using spells. Like, oh, this is really cool. They do like a coordinated team attack, like special spell if you like use certain spells at certain times.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is really neat. It's a very cool system. I just wish it was further like explained or like those ways.
That was my biggest gripe with this game, that none of the spells are like, they have no descriptions and you don't know what the fucking thing does half the time you use them.
For sure.
So it's like every spell is like, it's not fully named. Like, for example, they like shorten the words, I guess, to save memory on the system or whatever, so the game runs better or whatever. And so like you have things like antidote, is supposedly it's pretty much self-explanatory. It heals poison, and it's just spelled anti. So like you can you can draw your own conclusions from that. It's easy to okay, anti means it probably antidote means probably poison. Okay, I know what that move does. But then you have other moves like Zen. Like what the fuck does this even do? So you have to like there's so much trial and error to figure out what spells do what, and it's even worse with like buffing or debuffing spells.
Yeah,
because you ran like Denise or fucking Doran or whatever the fuck it was. Like, yeah. And then you use it, you're like, okay, what does this do? You use it on the character, and it goes to the enemy. It does like a weird screen effect, and like nothing happens. Like no text, nothing. So you don't know if you missed. Yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes it says like agility down. It's like okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't do anything. You're like, did I miss? Does it not affect them?
Yeah.
Did I just miss the text box? Because sometimes the text box in the lower corner or like in the middle. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I do like that the spells have like a unique naming convention that is unique to this world. Like that's cool. Mm-hmm. But the fact that there's no explanation of them in the menu at least is kind of a problem. Like,
Right. Like because if they just named like a fire spell fire or a water spell water. Instead of
it was Watt,
or whatever.
But yeah.
But like, you know, I don't know. It was a lot like a lightning spell. But like, if they just named it that, it would have been easier to figure out. But then, like, you know, it loses its uniqueness. But they could just. I don't understand why they didn't just add explanations in the menus. I tried. I was like, they must be in here somewhere, but I couldn't find them. They're not in there, and it's just baffling to me why. I don't know. It's dumb. I had to look it up online. Once I looked it up online, I figured out everything. My best guess is it was probably in the instruction manual.
Yeah, I mean, even by the end of the game, there were some abilities that I didn't know what they did. Like, there's a tech called arrows. I have no fucking clue what it does.
I read what it does, but I never used it. So whatever it did, it wasn't good. But I think it woke you up from sleep. Actually.
Oh wow!
What the fuck?
That happens often enough.
I mean, I guess an arrow, getting hit by an arrow would wake you up, but
last boss puts you to sleep.
It's kind of far-fetched.
For some reason, when I was fighting the last boss and it did put me to sleep, I woke up instantly every single time. I was like, what?
Yeah, you wake up. Most of the time, you wake up like the next turn.
Right. But yeah, that's what it did. I looked it up. That's what it does. I don't... like, how would you know that, you know? And, like, you try to use it because you're like, okay, is it going to rain arrows down on people? And it just does nothing. It shows a screen effect, and you're like, what did it do?
Exactly, yeah. So that's why it's like you can't just try the move once and then it's like, okay, now I know exactly what this move does. No, you have to do it multiple times to figure it out.
How would you know to use it in that situation with somebody sleeping?
And then there's some moves that are like that just don't work on like certain enemies, like the really strong one-hit kill moves. Like sometimes it doesn't work on the tougher enemies, and you're like, and you try it so many times, like why isn't this working?
Yeah. And I feel like the naming convention, that's more of a problem of the early game where like you don't know what they are. So like if you're in a boss fight, you can easily die. Like if you don't know what to select. But later on, for the most part, like most of them you'll know like FOI means fire or GRA means lightning or ZAN means wind attack.
Yeah. And then like there was different like healing. There was one for healing just one character, Rez, I think.
Rez,
and then there was one for healing all your characters.
SAR, the SAR.
SAR, yeah. And then like as they got stronger, there was like a GA SAR and then like a NA SAR, which what that meant, I don't know. But I knew it meant okay, well this is just that but stronger. So I guess I was able to figure that out. But,
yeah, that was the cool thing about it. Like once you figured it out, it was like kind of like learning a little bit of a new language in that game, which is neat. Obviously, it has its drawbacks, but it's neat.
Yeah,
he should have just had explanations. I don't know why.
It's just have brief descriptions. Like they had the descriptions for items. Like if you go to the shop, like it says when you hover over the item, it's like okay, this cures paralyzed, this heals, this heals a moderate amount, this heals a large amount. It's like okay, why don't you have that for spells?
I don't know why. I just don't know why. It's a weird decision that they made to not include that. But again, I mean, you can look it up online. Back in the day, I'm sure it was in the instruction book, or at least, I would guess that it would be.
That'd be kind of weird if you had all the spells in the instruction book. like throughout, and even the ones that you learn at the like fucking high levels.
And the
it's
skills.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's skills and techs.
I like that they have, so yeah, you have techs and skills, and the skills are more like special abilities that are all unique to the character themselves, which is really cool.
Yes.
And
the techs are like magic.
Yeah,
Text,
and they don't actually use magic power. It uses like there's a certain amount of uses. Like you have like you can use cross slash or whatever Chaz had.
Yeah,
and that has like you can use it 5 times until
you
like you heal again, then you get it back. It's like kind of D&D like. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that you can do because you have all these different abilities. You have all the tech points and all the skills that you can last really long in dungeons and in boss fights. Like I found myself in boss fights where I thought I was gonna lose because all my characters, or like 3 of my characters died in the first round, and then I would find a way to come back because I had all this shit.
Yeah,
really,
and
really
combine
cool.
that with the items too.
Yeah,
because you had items that did a lot of the same things that some of the techs did, like healing or all healing or reviving people. So
it's a really weird thing, like in the battles too. Like the enemies, it's like the difficulty was like all over the place. Like some you be in an area where like the enemies are like very easy to kill. And like when they try to do their normal standard attacks, they do like 1 damage, and then they use because the enemies have unique special skills too. And when they use them, they do like a fucking shit ton of damage. So like all of a sudden, when you're getting hit and you like barely get a scratch, you suddenly fucking lose half of your health from one move they do. Like what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I mean you have to pay attention in fights. They can get very scary very fast.
I think I figured out a lot of characters just have different. Like a lot of them have very high resistance to certain attacks, and also are very weak to certain attacks.
Yeah.
Like the robots, the androids were like just took no damage from like special like magic, but like they could get hit by like regular things. Some characters just had high resistance to certain types of attacks. So I did notice that, and then other people were just if Ren got or Rune got hit by a physical attack, he was like getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So I did notice that, and the boss battles, if you don't like actually, I noticed if you don't like actually use your skills in the later bosses, they will fucking wreck your shit. Like you have to come in there and be like, let me put up barriers and let me put up shields and stuff, and let me use Sanner so I can go first, which I don't know what Sanner means still, but it makes everybody go faster. But I found that I needed to use all those skills at the beginning because the first time I think you fight what's the stupid name?
Zio.
He just he pushed my shit in. I was like, oh wow, okay. Like, and then I just realized after that I was like, okay, the boss battles I gotta actually use my skills and really plan it out a lot better. So
yeah, I mean, I really like the boss battles a lot. I felt like they give a lot of tension. I don't think I lost in a single boss fight, but like every single time I was fighting to like the brink, basically. Yeah, which was really, really fun.
And the only time I lost was when I fought Zio. And then I didn't lose another boss fight after that because I realized. And I was like, okay, I guess I gotta really strategize this and really try to use my shields and stuff. At that point that's when I looked up, well, what do I actually have? Because I have a bunch of stuff that I don't know what it does. So I looked it up, and once I found out, oh, okay, I can increase my defense. Okay, I'll do that. So that's what I had to do. But yeah, the boss fights I thought they were good. I liked a lot of them, and I will say the enemies actually, just the enemy designs in the game, I think were one of my favorite things as well.
Yeah, they were really cool. Like the animations and the sprites, and like really,
they were.
I like all like the alien designs of the enemies.
Yeah, same. Like they were just like, I wouldn't say scary, but just like gross to look at. Some of them, you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. They were like, the sprite designs on them were also really cool. I liked all the different enemies. They felt unique to this world. It didn't feel like, oh, here's another little like goblin, or here's a slime, or no offense, RPGs with slimes like Dragon Quest, but at least Dragon Quest has a cute slime. But you know what I mean, though. Like a lot of them just recycle the same types of things. This thing, I feel like this game didn't really recycle much. Like you see that you're like, what the hell is this floating like two dragon heads stuck to each other that like opens up, and it's like, what? I don't know. It's just cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I also really like the sprites of the bosses. Like every time Dark Force came around, like he had a different like look to him.
Yeah,
it reminded me a lot of like Genova from Final Fantasy VII, because every time you fight him, like he's completely different.
Yeah.
But he looks awesome.
Yeah, the last time you fight him, I think was particularly cool. When he disguised himself, and then that guy, his disguise was really funny to me as well. I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
you have this character that joins your party named Seth, just this weird like martial arts dude with a mustache. You're like, what the hell is this jabroni? And then he ends up like just being Dark Force in disguise, and the last time you fight him, he looks really cool and menacing. Like he has like an actual like physical form now, and he's like towering over you. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess even the last boss was cool too. It's like 3 different forms.
Yeah. They look excellent.
Yeah. Really good. I will say though, when it comes to enemies, one thing that just kind of drove me a little crazy was the encounter rate in this game.
Yeah.
I thought it was
high.
just like, it seemed really high.
Thankfully, most dungeons in the beginning were like only a 2 or 3 rooms short.
Well, they get longer.
I know they get longer, but at least in the beginning it was decently sized. But I can imagine it was extremely annoying because I never got to like the final.
Near the end of the game, there's a lot of like just dead ends and stuff. But I want to explore because I want to like, I get better equipment sometimes. So like I was like, I want to explore, but I kept running into dead ends, and it was just like, I'm gonna have to fight like 10 extra enemies just because I decided to go down this dead end path. It kind of got annoying to me.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty high for sure, but I've been playing like old school RPGs like recently, like Breath of Fire 2 and Final Fantasy 2, and these games have even higher encounter rates, so I didn't think it was that high. And I think the saving grace of this game is that the battles play out pretty fucking fast. Like, your characters move fast, and you can even up the battle speed. And second of all, the run function works. Like, it really works.
Oh yeah, you're like, I don't think I actually got like stuck and couldn't escape. Actually, I think I did once because one of my characters was dead.
Sometimes you get stuck.
Yeah,
but only
every
like
so
one
often.
time. Yeah.
But it works like a surprising amount of the time. Which, like, if you're feeling frustrated, you could just skip a battle and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
I don't know if it's based on your character speed. Usually in RPGs, it's based on how fast your party is.
Yeah, it like raises it. It usually in comparison to the monster you're fighting.
Yeah.
Too.
So if you encounter a slow monster,
I don't know if it is
more
in this
easier
game.
to escape.
I'm not sure. I'd be interested in knowing, but yeah. I mean, one thing that I will say, because I played it on Steam, on the Sega Genesis, whatever collection
emulator like room thing. They have like
the
a collection,
Sega Genesis collection,
like where you're like
Steam.
in a virtual room and you have like a little...
So with that, you could like fast forward, and when I was getting irritated with the fights, or if I wanted to like grind for a minute and level up, I would just use the fast forward and just like speed my way through fights. I was like, thank God. It was very nice to have that. Which, I mean, the fights still with macro also, it helped when you were fighting a lot of the fodder enemies. You could just wipe them out very fast. So I thought that was again helpful to have that macro system. I thought it was really cool.
Speaking of macros, they're usually in MMORPGs, but another game that does macros even better, even though they're not called macros, they're called gambits, it's Final Fantasy 12. Like, you can essentially program your party to react to like almost like 30 different kinds of situations, and they'll do it automatically. So
Oh, really?
that game is like way more expanded than this game, and I love it a lot. But Yeah, that's just a note that I want.
That's cool. No, I didn't know that. I never played Final Fantasy 12, so
It's a very, very smart system.
nice. Well, it's good to know that somebody out there has expanded on the system like this, because it's a really cool idea. I like it a lot. But one thing I want to mention as well as just just the graphics and stuff in the game. I thought that for the most part, I thought we mentioned the enemy sprites were really good, but I also really liked how the character sprites looked in like the overworld. It was very like colorful, and I liked how the character sprites were just like actual like full model character sprites, because you used to at the time those all RPGs I feel like on Super Nintendo and stuff, and not that it was bad, but they're like chibi. You always have these like chibi characters with like weird proportions, big heads. But this game was like, here's some like normal looking ass people, which I thought that was
definitely
cool.
more appealing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know if it was more appealing, because I do like the art style of chibi and stuff too, but I just thought it was neat because it was different than what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, it was neat. It felt a little dated and cramped, but for the most part, I was fine with it.
It did look a little dated. It did. It looked almost like too simple. Like it wasn't really like pushing the Sega Genesis. Like I've seen much better looking Sega Genesis games.
Yeah, I feel like they pretty much ripped it wholesale from the earlier Phantasy Star 2 and 3.
Yeah, I would say I think in the battle it looks much better.
Yes, the battle sprites are.
Yeah, the battle sprites look really good. They're very detailed. But in the overworld and stuff, it almost looks like it could be like a Master System game.
Yeah.
Because it's very simple. It's not bad or anything. It's just very, very simple looking.
We also didn't mention, during the cutscenes, you actually get, images of the people. It's not just the text box and them, two static sprites talking to each other. You actually get, in-game screenshots of, scenarios that are going on and with the characters' reactions and shit, which is really cool.
Yeah, they're almost like manga style. You have different panels and stuff. I loved that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it was very well done. It added a lot of style to the game.
Mm-hmm. It made the cutscenes feel. It just made them feel bigger.
Just had more impact.
Yeah. More dramatic, more impactful.
Yeah, because you got to see character reactions. Because a lot of times like this in games, they would just use the character sprites and
they have that one standard profile shot picture so you know who's talking. That doesn't you can't really use for multiple scenarios because
sometimes you'd have
because the expression
would
match.
Yeah, exactly. You would have little emotion things in sometimes that would pop over their heads, a little anger mark or a little sweat drop, but in this game you get these cool cutscenes and it really portrays how everybody's feeling. You get to actually see them in manga panels, and the artwork I thought looked really good in these. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of great moments, like the fight with ZL, the what happens to Alice, Chaz gaining the Elciodon and witnessing the story of the past and all that stuff. It's very, very well done.
Yeah.
The whole presentation of it, even moving from planet to planet, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, the spaceship flying around. Yeah. I like that too. I thought that was really good. And I like not that there was a lot of there was only 3 planets in the solar system and a couple of space stations or whatever. But it was still cool just that you were going to different planets.
I mean, the worlds themselves, they felt big, but they didn't feel complicated or they were never confusing. Even though there wasn't a world map, you were never lost.
That's really good. I'm not. They pulled it off really well.
Yeah, and I mean, what helps with that is also the fact that you can teleport to any place that you've been to. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that helps a lot. It makes it much easier to explore. And I wish there was a little bit more variation in terms of dungeon design. It didn't seem like there was a lot, but a couple of them were kind of samey.
Yeah, the dungeons were a little samey.
You had a space station design, and then in the caves, and
a random castle here and there.
Yeah. I did really like the references to the older games. it really like felt like it was part of the same world of those games. Like it. There's moments and statues and things that are named after older characters that just feel like really like it wraps up. It actually feels like a finale to this whole arc of the Algol star system, which that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to feel like.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I mean, because I didn't play really the other games.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
Yeah, and you even get like the villain from the first game. He's resurrected and he's in this game. Lasik or Lashik, that guy. He's the villain of the first game. And that whole air castle. That's one of the last dungeons of the first game.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, damn. Fuck me for not playing that game, I guess. I've played the first Phantasy Star for maybe 30 minutes or an hour because I was I had it on a Genesis collection and I was kind of want to check this out. I was wow, this feels real dated.
It definitely takes some getting used to.
Yeah. And random side note, speaking of that, I mean, this game is, if you want to play it now, it is a hard game to come across on Sega Genesis. It is an expensive game. And also, I guess because of the chips and stuff that they had to use in this game to fit the whole game in here at the time, and people forget this, by the way. You people out here who are like, oh, $60 for a video game's a lot. It might be $70. That's a lot of money. Listen, back in the 90s, in early 90s, games they didn't have an MSRP a lot of the times. Games would just get charged random shit. And this game, when it was it retailed for $80 to $100 when it came out. And this was in 1995. Okay, it was an expensive game when it came out. It's very expensive still. So, I mean, with inflation, I mean, $80, $100, you're looking probably $150 or something probably for that game. Imagine a game just releasing this standard ass game here, $150 now. That's crazy. So, they didn't make a ton of copies of it in America at least, so it's not a common game. But luckily, if you do want to play it, it's been re-released up the ass. It's available on Steam for 99 cents as part of the Sega Genesis collection on that, which I didn't even know you could do on Steam. You could buy the game separately. You install the collection thing, and then you can buy each game separately if you want, if you don't want to buy them all. Didn't even know
that's how I played Rystar.
Oh, really? That's cool. Yeah, I didn't even know that was the thing, so that's neat. So the games are it's super cheap, 99 cents on Steam. It's part of a ton of different there was Sega the Genesis collection on PS2 it's on, Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on PS3 and 360. It's on that same Genesis collection on Switch. It's on the Xbox One. It's on PS4. It's on the Sega Genesis Mini that released. I mean, it's easy. If you want to play this game, easy peasy. It's easy to find. So you don't have to worry about shipping out, big money for the original cartridge. Unless you're a big collector and you're into that. But luckily, it's a very easy game to get and play nowadays, which sometimes we played games in the past that are not so easy to get. Or you could just, or you could just be a pirate and fucking, but we don't condone that here on the Trump Up Supercast. And if you do it, don't tell us. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, you know what? Another random side note, because I like just reading random things about the games. This game was actually originally going to be made on the Sega CD, but then that version got canceled and pushed to the Genesis because the Sega CD was doing real shit. It didn't sell very well, and Sega was like, "Yeah, let's put this on just Genesis." Because if they put it on the CD, it probably would have sold way less, So they
many games would have fell victim to the fucking accessories on these consoles that flopped so hard. Thank God, the developers pushed them to the older consoles.
Yeah, when they realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that happened with a lot of 64 games that were going to be on the 64 DD as well.
Yeah, the DD drive or whatever it was called.
I blame Snatcher for not selling enough Sega CDs.
It's the only fucking good game on Sega CD, alright? Leave it alone. Well, that and I guess Sonic CD, but Sonic CD's not super great either. It's not a bad game, but it's not. You know what, Sonic CD people out there, Sonic CD is overrated.
It's the best, worst 2D Sonic game.
Throw it in the trash.
It's better than Sonic 1, but it's not better. It's not as good as Sonic 2 and 3.
True.
So, sorry, Sonic CD fans. They're fucking true turds. So, yeah. Do you guys have anything else that we missed out on that you guys want to talk about here?
Yeah, I have a few.
Sure.
3 things.
Okay.
I don't like that you can't sort the items in the menu.
Fair.
Yes.
Pain in the ass.
Yes.
I wish you could sort.
That's
Yeah.
like a,
It also annoyed
yeah.
me that because like it mixed up the. You know how like almost every RPG has like a separate column is like here are your consumable items, here are your weapons, here are your armor pieces. Everything was mixed up. It was driving me insane.
Yeah. That's
And later on, you have like quite a few items that you can't throw away, so they're just kind of cluttering up your item bag, which is annoying. Yeah, I wish there was sorted or some way to stack the items maybe.
Yeah, I don't get why they gave you like those items that you couldn't just toss, so you didn't need them anymore. It's
You
like,
can
come on.
discard them. There is
No, there was items that you get that you cannot.
Oh yeah,
discard.
those yeah. But also the items also fell victim to the shortage of words where like they would abbreviate them like with the same thing with the spells. So like shields are like granite shield was like GR shield. And it's just like oh my god.
Yeah,
I have to fucking guess what these items are now too.
Titan sword. I kept calling the Titan stuff. I kept calling it like Titan sword.
Yeah, the titanium ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point.
Yeah,
also, I want to say that I guess I don't know if this is one of your points, but this has reminded me of this. When you first get like the Land Rover thing, you get these different vehicles.
Oh yeah.
First time I got out of it, I was like, well, what? How do I get back in it? I'm like pressing every button, and the game doesn't tell you, and it's just an item that you have to go in your fucking inventory and just use it, and you get back in it. But like, it took me like a good like 10 minutes of like, fuck, like how do I get back in it? Like I was like, oh, did I fuck up? Like it's kind of dumb and weird that you have to just go into your item and just hit use. I don't know, it was odd choice.
Yeah. It's not exactly like something you would guess right away.
Yeah, they should have just told you at least or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the vehicles, I don't really like the vehicle combat. Like, I do like the concept of it. I think it looks great. I love when you're in like the cockpit area and you see all the blinking lights.
Yeah.
And the fact that each vehicle has its own like special abilities, special attacks and stuff. And the fact that they exist at all, and you can move around the world, and they each do different things. Those are all very cool.
Yeah.
The fact that they suck in combat, though, is a problem because you can easily get trapped in a fight that you cannot win, and you have to run. And if it doesn't run, you die. And if you die in the vehicle, it's a game over.
Every single person dies. Yeah.
The worst. That is the worst thing. I think one of the worst things in the game is the fact that you die if you lose a vehicle battle. Such a pain in the ass. And the vehicle is so slow in combat that like it always goes last apparently. So it's a problem.
It was kind of weird. It's a good idea on paper, but yeah, it was executed very poorly.
Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to say was that whenever you press the search button,
yes, I was about to bring that up.
My fucking god, a dialogue box every time. Why?
Yeah, and you're trying to talk to people and they keep fucking moving around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to like interact with everything. I like to go in people's houses and search their shit. Maybe I find a secret item or something. Every single time that fucking dialogue box pops up instead, it's just like I'm wasting so much fucking time getting so irritated.
Yes.
I hated it so much.
I feel like 2 hours of my playtime was those fucking dialogue boxes.
It's just literally a message that pops up. It's like, stop wasting time. Stop wasting time.
No, that's Alice.
Oh
Yeah,
my fucking god.
I do like that every character has a unique thing that they say, but yeah, it's...
Yeah.
I agree with that too. Good point.
That's it.
Yeah. I think the only other note I had was that I thought the music in the game overall was just okay. It was just fine. Like, I didn't think it was, like, really great. So, like, there was times where I just, like, turned it down because it's an RPG. You hear a lot of the same music a lot. So I just turned it down and was listening to other music because I was like, I'm getting kind of tired of this music.
Yeah,
like,
it was a lot.
It was
like,
decent.
Yeah, half the towns had the same
fine.
town theme. Half the dungeons had the same dungeon theme. Overworld theme was always the same. It's just
yeah.
It's not that. I grew tired of it fast. Unfortunately,
It was fine. The music was fine, but listening to it for hours and hours. It's just kind of like, I kind of want to listen to something else at this point, you know?
Yep.
Which happens in RPGs, especially if you decide to like grind up a little bit and get a couple levels. You're like, I don't want to listen to this music anymore. So yeah, all that being said, Ills. We'll start with you here. We're going to do recommendations and whether or not you would, now that you played this game, would you recommend it to somebody?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I've really enjoyed this game. Like, even more than I thought I would. Like, it's a lot of good stuff here. Like, definitely something you should play.
Okay. Noah?
Yeah, especially if you're a fan of like the old style RPGs. Yeah, this is a really good one. Very unique take. Has a different theme to the standard medieval classical that we spoke of earlier with elves, dwarves, and all that stuff. Orcs. This is more sci-fi based, which is pretty cool. The exploration from planet to planet. It's definitely worth checking out if you get the chance. Especially if it's only like $1 on Steam. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna say yes too. Definitely would recommend. I mean, in fact, I think I'm gonna recommend it to somebody later on today. One of my friends is coming over. I think I'm gonna recommend it
Michael.
to him. He's a big fan of Shining Force. He loves Shining Force. Like, he absolutely loves that game. So he likes Sega Genesis a lot. And I'm like, I don't think he's ever played this game. So I'm gonna be like, hey, you should give it a try. So yeah, I mean, definitely. It's a
also recommend the first one on the Sega Ages version, where you get the map.
Yeah, the better version.
Yeah, the playable version.
All right, well, now it's time to take Phantasy Star IV and put it on the list!
The list!
You can follow along with the list in the pastebin below, where every single episode of the Game Club here, we add what game we played to the list. So click on that link to see, follow along here and see what we're looking at. And yeah, every time we got to add what game we played to it, and it goes just from best to worst. So, Ills, I'm gonna start with you, since you picked the game. Looking at the list, where would you start? Like, where do you think it goes?
God. Well, I think it should be above Indivisible. And I think it should be above Okami.
Holy fuck.
I want it above Gears of War. That's where I'd stop.
Ooh, that's pretty high.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think I can go that high. What are you thinking, Brandon?
I don't. I mean, I'm not fussed about it being above Indivisible. Okami though?
Yep.
An Octopath Traveler?
Yep. Octopath Traveler has too much bloat.
I would say I'm okay with above Indivisible, but I wouldn't put it above Okami for me. And then
No, how do you feel about Okami?
I feel like I should go below Okami, honestly.
Really? Okay.
I'd be okay with above. How about above Captain Toad, but below Super Mario Maker?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if that's the highest I can get it, that's fine with me.
I just think Super Mario Maker is just really fucking good. It's just, it's just. I mean, it's a great ass game. There's so much good things about it. I don't know.
Yep.
What do you think, Noah? Do you put it above or below Super Mario Maker?
It's so weird because it's such vastly different games. But
Welcome
I
to the list.
feel like
Welcome to the list.
Yeah. I feel like overall, Super Mario Maker as a package is. Then again, this game was really Phantasy Star IV was like really ambitious with, and like a lot of things they did for the RPG genre was like really good, like the macro system and all that. So it's like they were innovative, but they also had a lot of bad things that were slightly irritating.
Not that bad. I mean, there are some bad things, but like they never got super bad.
No, not to the point where it would like ruin the experience or anything, but I feel like there was definitely a lot of room for improvement. But same could be said from the first Mario Maker, but
same could be said for Okami.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually, you know what? I'm okay with putting it above Okami, actually, now that I think about it a little bit more.
There we go. Now we're moving. Now we're talking. How about above Gears of War?
I have no opinion on Gears of War because I haven't played the first one.
That means putting it above Borderlands, which also is definitely a no for me.
I'm okay with that.
Alright, so, yeah. I'll go ahead and...
Above Okami, then.
We'll go above Okami.
Yeah.
Alright, so that puts it at number 54 on the list. And surrounding it is 2 spots above it is number 52, Gears of War, 53, Borderlands, 54 is now Phantasy Star IV, the end of the Millennium, 55 is Okami, and 56, Super Mario Maker. Not one other Game Club game surrounding it, which is very rare, I feel like.
Super rare.
A lot of Game Club games on the list, so it's rare when you don't hit one surrounding it. And a lot of them fall, just there's like little chunks of them are all around. But yeah, there you have it. That's the list. Thanks guys for listening. But hey, before you go, don't shut off the podcast just yet, because we're gonna run down a couple of things, including what game we're gonna be playing next in a little bit. But hey, if you enjoyed the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast listening service, including SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, where new episodes go up every other Thursday of the Game Club, and just the normal Jump Up Supercast episodes where we talk about the news and add games to the list go up every single Monday. So give us a follow, a like, or a share. Feel free to let us know what you thought about Phantasy Star IV, if you've ever played it, or if you do want to play it, in the comments below. And if you enjoy the podcast and you want to support us more, we actually have a Patreon as well, for where just $1 a month you get the chance to choose one of our Game Club games. And speaking of, that's going to be what I'm talking about in a second here, because our next game is a Patreon pick. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay up to date, everything Jump Up Supercast related. And we also stream on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast, where I did stream a decent chunk of Phantasy Star IV. And then I've been playing a bit of Fall Guys, and we've been playing some Divinity 2 on there as well. So if you want to watch us play some games, give us a follow on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. We appreciate that. We like to talk to you guys or whatever when you come out in the chat. And before we go, though, like I said, Patreon pick. We did the raffle last night. It was down to 3 different games. And, yeah, I guess the game that we're going to get this, I got to look at it and make sure that I got the subtitle right, because there's a couple different one of these. And the game that was picked by one of our Patreons is Style Savvy Fashion Forward. That's going to be our next game. It's a Nintendo game. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically a dress-up type of game. You run a fashion boutique and you gotta dress people up. I don't know what else goes on. Maybe there's fashion shows. I don't know. We gotta play it to find out. But
can't wait to fight the last boss.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of grown-ass men playing a dress-up little fashion game, but that's gonna be fun. I mean, it's gonna be interesting, I guess, to talk about it, because this is gonna be a unique one. So check back in 2 weeks when we play Style Savvy Fashion Forward and find out what we thought about it. And as always, thank you, Noah, and thank you, Ills, for playing these games. And I'm gonna thank you even more next week when you have to play this game. And everybody else, we really appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Go out there, play some video games, and be nice.